And after a little layoff, for no particular reason at all, welcome back to the Fly the Flag podcast. How you doing, Jonny Fowler?
I am doing great, and it's just because we had world and life going on,
Yep.
traveling, all that other stuff.
All the good stuff.
How did you like the email I sent you?
The email was fantastic. Johnny simply this morning sent me an email. It said, "Hey, remember when we used to do a podcast and there was a link to Elvis Presley's memories?" Which I got while I was on a walk with a new dog that we adopted, which was part of the life. But boy, oh boy, did I listen to that entire song. Thank you very much. It was perfect walk-in tunes.
I am a massive Elvis fan. I guess I'm the age group or whatever. We were actually there, not at Graceland, but we were in Memphis when he passed.
Okay.
And we immediately, as soon as it came on the news, my dad was at a couple of job interviews in Memphis. It was 1977, and I was getting ready to turn 9. As soon as it came on the news, we actually rushed to Graceland. And as a kid, being, I was born in Texarkana, but at the time we lived in Manville, Texas, which the population had to be somewhere at least in the triple digits.
Gotcha.
And all of a sudden we show up at Graceland, and I know that there had to have been a billion people in front of Graceland, but just always been a massive Elvis fan. My dad was Elvis and my mom was the Beatles. So
nice mix.
That was a strange one.
That's great though.
It was, and it did so much for my music taste, things like that. But now I'm a huge Elvis fan.
Fantastic. 2 of the all-time greats there. When Anthony was about 2 or 3 months old, if he was ever upset, all we had to do was put on a Beatles song, any Beatles song, and he would calm right down, start smiling. The kid likes his classic rock, so that's fun.
Paul McCartney's my favorite musician of all times.
There we go. Well, from Graceland to California, I want to talk about this California Dream for All program.
Agreed. Hey, that's a good one to talk about.
Yeah,
you know more about it than anybody probably.
I know quite a bit about it. I made a video on it about 7 months ago, and it was proposed to government. And I get a lot of people saying, "Hey, how do I apply for this thing? How do I apply? How do I apply? Where do I get it?" And for months and months and months and months, I had to reply with, "This hasn't gone through yet. It hasn't been voted on. It hasn't been passed." And then it got passed, and people want to know, how do I apply? How do I get this 20% down payment assistance? At the time, it was 17%. And for months and months and months again, I have to reply to them and in the comments and all the good stuff and say, "The California Housing Finance Agency is currently drawing up all the details. There's really no way to apply yet, but God, we'll let you know when there is." And then it went live for 10 effing days. 10 days. How long does it take, Johnny? How long does it take to spend $300 million? Now we know. If you're using it to help Californians out, first-time home buyers specifically, with 20% towards the purchase of a property, it takes 10 days to spend $300 million. But they weren't just helping people out. This wasn't necessarily a down payment assistance program, even though that's how it was billed. Why don't you let us know how they were assisting people? Not that we're against this, but it wasn't a traditional type of assistance that we're used to.
It's not. And I think that it was marketed and billed wrong. I read up on it, and I will tell you, not until after it was over did I really catch what it was, because I just – and it may have been blind that I'm used to the typical down payment assistance and the parameters around them and, a certain amount of time and things like that. Yeah. And I'm not against what it was. I want to make that clear. Sure. I love the idea. And in my personal opinion, that's the way all of them should be. I love the idea. But I think that it was kind of marketed wrong, and I think that there will be some repercussions. I do think that there'll be some legality, things like that pop up. But here's what it was. They were going to give you a certain percentage, up to 20%, as a down payment assistance, and it truly was a down payment assistance, but they are sharing, which they deserve, in my opinion, they are sharing in the equity of the property.
Yes.
Now, I saw 2 or 3 different, maybe you can clarify this for me. I saw 2 or 3 different forms that that it would do. One of the ones, I don't believe it. I think it was a false deal. It was talking about that it was taking a certain percentage of your property taxes, and that was going to pay back part of it. And I don't believe that at all.
Yeah, I didn't see anything about that.
I read a couple that were talking about that it died off a percentage, and I don't know how much it was year after year, but I couldn't find anything more on that. But my understanding and the way that
definitely did not die off.
My understanding and the way that I believe that it was is if they put 20% down, and that 20% is equal to, I'm going to use easy numbers for myself.
Absolutely.
I'm going to say,
for everybody, please.
I'm going to say $200,000.
Yep.
That you both gained on the appreciation of that property. They got their $200,000 back plus a percentage of what the profit was when selling the property. What I could not find is how the percentage worked. Did we share in it 50-50? Did we share in it? If I put down all of the money that was going down, I got all of the appreciation. So maybe you can help us on that.
Yeah. So here we go. I've actually pulled up the program guidelines. So I'm not going to look at the camera. I'm going to look at the screen because I don't want to get any of this wrong. This might help the people understand it who have been approved for it and actually got the program, if any of them are listening. So as with vast majority of down payment assistance programs, there were income limitations. So it was based on area median income. For borrowers' incomes above 80% of the AMI. So area median income, if you had income of 80% of that or more, you got 20% of the down payment, and the state shared in 20% of the appreciation. So it's just
give me numbers. Break that down to numbers.
Yeah. So for the vast majority of people, because let's face it, in many areas, if you're below 80% of the AMI, it's just really hard to afford a home. Not that it can't happen, but that's going to be the kind of the exception to the rule, right? So the vast majority of people would get 20% down payment assistance, and they would have to pay back 20% of their appreciation. So the way this happened, I made the math simpler. They post kind of silly math. so let's just go ahead and make this super easy for everybody. If you bought a house for $500,000, 20% of that is $100,000. They would give you $100,000 down payment assistance. Your mortgage would be $400,000. Down the road, if your house is now worth $600,000 and you sell it, you would pay back 20% of $600,000.
Okay.
Which is $120,000. So in essence, you're paying back the original $100,000 that you got plus 20%, $20,000 of your $100,000 of equity that you've realized.
Which is amazing. I mean, that's you can't do. Somebody's going to loan me $100,000 interest free, no payments,
deferred payments, exactly.
No payments, no monthly.
Yep.
And then at the time I decide to sell, then they get their original money back plus 20% or how much ever percentage they put down.
Yep.
20% back. So I came to the table theoretically with no money down.
Correct.
They gave me $100,000. We sold my property 4 years later, 3 years later for $600,000. I got $80,000 equity. They got their original 100 plus 20.
Yep. That's exactly how it worked. And then the math got a little bit more complicated, but favorable for borrowers with 80% or less than the area median income.
Okay.
So they didn't pay back the full 20% of the equity. They would pay back the full original loan, but they would only pay back 15% of the equity. So they would get 20% down payment, which would be the $100,000. And if they sell for $600,000, they pay back that original $100,000 plus 15% of the equity, which would be $15,000.
Okay.
So 80% AMI or less, they're not paying back $120,000, they're paying back $115,000.
Okay.
Small numbers, but I mean, if somebody wants to put an extra $5,000 in my pocket, I'm not going to turn it down.
No, that's a great deal. You both, I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. You're maintaining the property.
Yes.
You are keeping it up. You're fixing the air conditioner, painting, whatever else. Somebody else gave you the money. They should receive. They're putting up a massive, capital, and they should participate in it. That makes good business sense. I like that.
Yeah, I like it a lot. And then there is a refinancing and resubordination policy. So this kind of gets into the weeds of it, which I really think is important.
Okay.
Because you don't just have to sell the property to have to pay it back. If you do a cash out refinance, you got to pay back the whole thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that was a super interesting twist. The only way that you don't have to pay it back, they say during the life of the shared appreciation loan, they'll allow borrowers to refinance the first mortgage loan into a single rate and term refinance, into a single limited cash out refinance without requiring immediate repayment, one time and one time only, as long as you comply with California Housing Finance Agency.
That's a great provision.
Resubordination policy. So that's really good, but it's one time and one time only. So here's the situation that I'm seeing. All the people, all the mortgage professionals with the cringy tagline of all cringy taglines.
Are you going to say the one I can't stand?
Marry the house, date the rate.
Oh, God. Okay. I had forgotten about that one. That is the worst. The one that I hate now, I guess the flavor of the day is, and to me, it's illegal to say, but we will refinance you for free when the rates come down.
That's the worst. That's the worst. That's a whole nother podcast. But okay, so if you marry the house and date the rate, if that's your plan with this shared appreciation loan, you're probably setting people up for massive failure. Because let's face it, rates aren't low right now. They've lowered. We're in the low sixes. We're in a pretty decent spot, stabilizing into the springtime and summertime housing market. There's a lot of positivity, right? But if people are saying, hey, you get 20% down payment, and then if rates drop into the threes again, you can just refinance. Well, it's not that easy, because you could have somebody in a position where they can't refinance into the threes, because if their equity hasn't risen enough, they might be prompted to pay back that 20% down payment assistance, which would take their LTV above 80%, which we're trying to avoid in the first place. That's the whole point of this down payment assistance. And they're going to incur mortgage insurance, and they're going to incur a crap ton of extra principal, because they're having to pay back that 20% down payment assistance loan. So even cutting your rate in half probably isn't going to drop your payment enough to be worth it. So it gets a little bit tricky. So for the people out there who did get this program, good for you. Bravo. Phenomenal program. I love it.
Kudos. Good on you for doing that.
Is the program dead forever? No. The program will be replenished by the funds once they're paid back by borrowers who used this program, but Lord knows how long that's going to take, or until the state allocates more funds, whichever comes first.
Well, I do have one thing that's
really, like, as mortgage advisors, just really educate yourself before advising borrowers on future plans down the road, setting them up to be successful homeowners. Really educate yourself on this program before you start saying, oh, and you can just refinance it, because that's not the case with this one.
That's like all the videos that we've watched over the past couple of weeks about the 40-year FHA.
Oh Lord.
That's
what happens when the media gets their news from TikTok.
I even know somebody who is in the, let's say, news broadcasting part of the mortgage business that went on and told people about the new 40-year amortization on FHA and all of that. It's like, whoa, wait a second. No.
Only for loan modifications.
First of all,
loan modifications, people.
Does anybody remember Dodd-Frank, where 40-year mortgages were kind of outlawed?
They're non-QM.
They're non-QM.
Yep.
Exactly. So how did so let's do a little bit of research. But I want to tell you this. One thing that I can tell you that, and I can do this with a greater majority percentage of certainty, is true mortgage professionals don't do things like that. They don't say that we're going to refi you for free. They don't talk about a 40-year FHA, which is now a non-QM loan, without doing a little bit of research on it, things like that. I really like
40-year loans would be a bad thing. It's just that FHA is not doing them right now. Well, that was the whole thing. And just so you know, like from an SEO perspective on Google, if you search FHA 40-year loan, as of like 2 or 3 days ago, I think there was like 29,000 relevant recent results.
Yes.
Everybody was reporting on this and nobody was actually checking the facts. It was incredible.
I will say this, though. This is one thing, because it sounds like after you're reading the explanations and how it truly works and all of that, I am going to say that it sounds like there was some sort of mortgage industry professional involved in writing that up.
Agreed.
But here's one thing that I see immediately that's a fail about that. If you're going to do that, and I understand that you need to get some RESPA attorneys, things like that involved. But if you only have $300 million, you already know what your home prices are. You already know what the parameters are. You already know what your pool is of potential customers. I think it's reckless if you only have $300 million to offer this to the whole state, as opposed to maybe the most underserved communities. And I don't know what that would be. I don't know if that would be the Valley. I don't know if it would be the city. I don't know if it would be SoCal, NorCal, whatever.
It would probably depend on how you define underserved.
Yeah, that's a great point. But I think
like that, where you draw the
you're
line.
only dealing with $300 million, you just got a tremendous amount of people's hope up, knowing that you're going to run out of money in 10 days.
It's nutty. And the crazier thing is, like, flip the script and say, okay, maybe it's not 300 million. Maybe they allocated $3 billion to this.
There you go.
Like, that's a huge number, right? Big time. And the program might have lasted 3 months.
Yeah.
Still. So it's hard. Here's the interesting thing, because I always pay attention to wording and verbiage, because when it comes to guidelines, I mean, that was my primary responsibility, was reading and writing guidelines for the better part of a dozen years. So I love to see the little words that get changed from proposal to publishing and things like that. This was proposed as a shared equity loan. At first glance, this is a shared equity loan.
Yeah.
But reader, can't equity go negative? Why, yes, it can. But they published it as a shared appreciation loan, not a shared equity loan.
Good catch.
So even if your home loses value and you sell the property, you don't have to pay back a smaller percentage of that 20% that they helped you out with. Well, why not? It's a shared equity loan, right? They gave me $100,000. My house lost 10% of value. I only have to pay them back $90,000, right? No. This is not a shared equity loan. This is a shared appreciation loan.
I'm still good.
So
with
in a case, if a home loses value, you still pay back all of the 20% that you were helped with in down payment to begin with.
I'm still good with that.
I am too. It's just
you go buy a new car.
It's interesting to me. I want to know who the person was who said, because it wasn't me, but it was somebody who really thinks like me. It was probably somebody I'd want to have a beer with. and hang out for a while. You know what I mean? I want to know who the person was that was writing up this program and say, wait. If we do this as a shared equity loan, we could be on the hook for some stuff. The market turns south. Let's make this a shared appreciation loan, because that's a big differentiator that I haven't heard anybody talk about.
No, but you go buy, let's say you go buy a new Suburban tomorrow for your family and stroke a check and pay for it, and
Sure.
you don't get insurance on it. If it gets stolen, you still owe, whatever, it's still, that money is gone.
Absolutely.
So now I'm good. I am glad that you brought that. I think that more people need to know about it. I got a great idea where the funds can come for to replenish.
Yeah.
Los Angeles's mansion tax. Let's talk about that on another podcast.
That's good. Make it statewide.
Let's talk about
that. I probably just pissed off a whole bunch of people in Orange County and San Francisco, but make it statewide.
Well,
statewide mansion tax, replenish it, keep giving it to underserved people so they can buy their starter homes in the place where their families are.
Well, and also where they support you.
Just so you know, like this stuff hits close to home for me, because I can afford a housing payment. Obviously, we're renting a house right now. We're not paying a little bit for it.
Yep.
That's what's happening. But if I were to buy the house that we're currently renting, even if I had like this 20% down, our monthly payment would still go up like $1,100 a month above what our current rent is. Like, cost of rent versus cost to own where we're at is completely out of whack. And part of that's because we're in Orange County, and part of that is because there's a lot of investors around here, and part of that is because we're less than a mile from a private college that pulls a bunch of students with parents that are well off, and they're willing to pay up for student housing in the area. Like, there's housing is very local, and this is a very local thing. But my parents are 20 minutes that way. My wife's parents are 30 minutes that way. We can't take their grandkids away from them. That's not fair to anybody. My sister's just over that way. A lot of the stuff that is keeping us here is family related, but that doesn't change the affordability of the area.
Right.
And I think people that are in situations like this are exactly who programs like this are for. So yeah, man, I think you got a point. Take that mansion tax and replenish this program and help people stay close to their home base, because the people who have been born in California, New York, the Chicagos of the country, the places that are just crazy expensive, like, they didn't necessarily choose to be here where it's all the more expensive, but they want to keep their families together. And I think that's an important point worth talking about.
Well, I think you've got to figure out also, because if you are somebody, and I'm just talking in generalities, if you are somebody that happens to live in a $5 million home, most likely you do have the means to be able to support that and things like that. Well, when you go to your local grocery store, your local dry cleaner, your local gas station, your local restaurant, all of the people who support your community don't live in that community where the homes are $5 million. So if you want to have a thriving community, then it would be a great thing to take that money that, in my opinion, the government in California is stealing, and to spread that to the people that allegedly you care about, that are truly supporting that community. There are a tremendous amount more people supporting it with labor and services than there are actors and actresses and rock singers and whatever else,
Couldn't agree more. Matter of fact, I agree so much that that's an episode.
Let's do it.
Thank you, everybody, for watching / listening. We'll see you on the next Fly the Flag podcast.